They used to tell stories about us. Stories whispered around alien campfires, under foreign skies. To them, humans were not real, but a warning. A tale of fire, of chaos, of creatures who built suns and destroyed them in the same breath. I grew up hearing those stories too, long after Earth was dust. But stories have power. They are seeds waiting for the right moment to grow. I never believed I would be the one to make them real again. My name is Captain Aidan Holt, last officer of the Terran fleet. At least, that's what my cryopod said when I woke up. The ship's name, the horizon, still shone faintly on the hull. Letters half-eaten by time. My lungs burned as I breathed the stale air, and my eyes blinked against flickering lights. According to the computer, I had been asleep for 3,762 years. The galaxy outside was not the one I had known. Every familiar beacon, every starport, every human colony, gone. All that remained was silence. I drifted through the wreckage of our forgotten empire, surrounded by echoes of what we once were. The ship's databanks were cracked, the stars had shifted, and yet one signal still pulsed weakly in the dark. It was faint, almost lost in static. A human distress code. Old, ancient, but unmistakable. My hands trembled as I locked onto it. A call from the past. A whisper saying, "We are not finished yet." The signal led me across systems I did not recognize, through dust clouds that glowed with alien light. When I reached its source, my scanners went wild. The planet below was scarred, carved by what looked like ancient wars. Yet a single structure remained intact, massive, circular, and pulsing with blue light. It was human. I could feel it in my bones. The architecture, the materials, the energy pattern, it all sang with the rhythm of Earth. I landed the horizon in silence. The ground was cold metal, humming softly, as if remembering the footsteps of those who came before. The doors opened with a sigh, releasing air that smelled like rust and memory. My heart raced. I stepped into the dark, my boots echoing against the corridor walls. Then I saw it. A seal emblazoned with the old Terran insignia. A blue sphere surrounded by stars. Beneath it, a single line of text. "When they forget who we are, remind them." My voice shook as I whispered, "We never left, did we?" The chamber lights flickered on, revealing rows of dormant machines, spherical drones, weapons, and data cores. At the center stood a massive crystal pulsing faintly. I touched it, and the world exploded in light. Holograms filled the air, images of humans building ships, exploring stars, laughing, fighting, dreaming. Voices overlapped, forming a single phrase. Humanity endures. Tears stung my eyes. I had found what the galaxy had lost, a memory, a promise. The aliens might have turned us into bedtime stories, but the truth was waking up again. And deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had forgotten humanity, but I was going to remind them. When the crystal went dark, a single beacon shot into the stars, a signal that would echo through every corner of the universe. Somewhere, across the endless night, someone would see it, and they would remember the myth of humanity had just been reborn. The beacon I'd triggered raced outward faster than I could imagine. Within days, its echo reached the nearest listening post of the Threx Dominion. Their historians recognized the frequency immediately, an impossible signal, the same pattern found in the oldest records of the extinct ones. Panic spread through their networks like wildfire. The Threx feared ghosts, and to them, humans were the greatest of all. I watched the chaos unfold from orbit, intercepting transmissions filled with disbelief. "It can't be them," one alien hissed. They burned their own world. Yet another whispered, "If the myths are real, the stars will burn again." I almost laughed. They thought the return of humanity meant destruction. They never understood that our greatest weapon wasn't war. It was hope. The ship's engines groaned to life, pulling me toward the coordinates stored in the ancient crystal. It pointed beyond mapped space, toward the dark between galaxies. Somewhere out there, something waited for me. I didn't know if it was another human or just another ghost of who we were, but I was done hiding. Days passed in silent flight. Outside my window, the stars stretched into endless ribbons of light. I replayed the old recordings from the vault. Laughter, music, oceans breaking on forgotten shores. Those sounds gave me strength. They were proof that humanity was more than its wars. Then a voice crackled over the comms. Broken, distant, but human. Horizon, identify. Please respond. My breath caught. I wasn't alone. I traced the signal to a derelict colony station orbiting a blue dwarf star. Its hull was battered, its lights dim. When I docked, I found signs of life. Hand-carved symbols on the walls, written in Terran Standard. We wait for the stars to forgive us. Inside, I found survivors, descendants of the last fleet, living in secrecy. They looked at me with awe, whispering, "You came from the old world." For the first time in centuries, humanity spoke to itself again. They called their home Haven 9. It was small, fragile, but alive. The children gathered around me, eyes wide as I told them of Earth, of blue skies and white clouds that danced like dreams. They had never seen rain. They thought thunder was a myth. Hearing their laughter filled the empty parts of me I thought had died long ago. Yet peace never lasts. The Threx had tracked my beacon, following its trail straight to Haven 9. Their warships emerged from the void like shadows. I warned the colonists to hide while I powered the horizon. My ship was old, but she still had a little fire left. I faced the fleet alone, engines roaring with the courage of 1,000,000,000 forgotten souls. I broadcast one final message before charging forward. You feared the myth. Now meet the truth. The battle was chaos. Plasma fire lighting the darkness, the hull shuddering under impact. I wasn't stronger, but I was faster. Unpredictable. That was humanity's gift. Adaptation. I used the wreckage of old satellites as cover, striking from shadows like a ghost from the past. When my reactor overheated, I ejected decoy pods carrying fragments of human history. Music, art, children's laughter. The aliens intercepted them, expecting weapons, and instead found beauty. The Threx flagship withdrew, shaken not by force, but by memory. The survivors of Haven 9 cheered as the fleet retreated into the dark. We had won not through destruction, but through reminding them of what we were capable of. Feeling, dreaming, defying. Humanity's legend had taken its first breath again. Word spread faster than light. Across the spiral arms, species who once mocked human myths now argued in fear and fascination. Merchants traded our recordings like sacred relics. Soldiers painted old Terran flags on their armor. Somewhere, deep inside every sentient being, a spark lit. Humanity's courage was contagious. I began receiving encrypted messages from distant systems. Other human outposts awakening, scattered like seeds. One by one, they answered the beacon. Families reunited, fleets rebuilt, songs rewritten. We were no longer ghosts. We were a growing constellation, bound by memory and fire. Still, I knew this was only the beginning. My dreams were filled with flashes of something greater, a presence calling from the dark beyond the stars. Whatever it was, it had waited for us to rise again. I stand now on the bridge of the horizon, staring at a cluster of newborn stars. They shimmer like eyes watching, waiting. Behind me, children of Haven 9 laugh as they learn the old Earth songs. Ahead, the galaxy turns, restless. Somewhere out there, more of us sleep, and one day, they too will wake. I record my final message to the void. To whoever hears this, remember, humanity is not a threat. We are a promise, We are the fire that learns, the myth that endures. The engines ignite, and light floods the cabin. We set a course toward the unknown, not as conquerors, but as dreamers once more. The galaxy will know our name again, not because they fear us, but because we dared to be remembered. Humanity had returned, and the stars themselves trembled in wonder